Welcome back to Out Them. In this video I want to talk to you about the latest kick in the teeth from the developers towards the player, and that is how the game is now 25% off in an official sale across all platforms. Not even 2 months after the release, and they already have this game a quarter off its original price. If you're on PC, instead of £50 it'll be £37.50. If you're on console, instead of 60 it'll be 45. After all the problems players have faced, and that's how they want to treat them. And it was only recently they delayed one of their patches to fix a game-breaking bug. Not only that, they've just finished bragging about how many copies of the game they've sold. And I hope you liked the little intro to this one. I had to steal it from Twitter, and added a little extra function on of not being able to connect to the party connection failure, whatever it wants to say on the screen. I had to include that because recently I also did a live stream to help other players that were struggling with tiers and struggling to complete expeditions, basically just a chill stream. And Pete was going to join me and help players too because he's using a trainer so he can deal a lot of damage, has like the best builds in the game. And it would not let him connect at all. I ended up getting carried through the stream by several other players purely because I can't output enough damage. I'm missing parts of my build because I simply cannot get them dropped no matter how long I play. And it just wouldn't let Pete join. And then after bragging about how many copies they've sold, they then go and put the game on sale. If we take a look at this image here, you'll see that the game is barely keeping players on Steam. It's probably way different on console. I'm not entirely sure how the players are on console. But what I've done is I have actually taken a screenshot you'll see here of the Steam store page. It's got the sale price there. But it also has the amount of reviews the game has had ever since it launched less than 2 months ago. And that is 33,887. So what I did is rounded that up to the nearest 100, 33,900. And then what I like to do is a little tip I picked up is not 100% accurate, but to get a rough estimate on how many copies of a game has sold, you take the amount of reviews on Steam and you times it by 50. I've always done it and it does seem to be fairly accurate, although it is still an estimate, it's not going to be 100%. But according to the reviews, that is 1.695 million copies sold on Steam alone. So we're not even going to include Epic Games into this. We'll just use Steam for the PC side of things, and we'll round that up to 1.7. So from 1,695,000, we'll add an extra 5k on, round it up to 1.7 million. That is almost half of the amount of copies they have sold across all platforms. The other platforms will be Stadia, PlayStation, Xbox, and even Epic Games. So if we completely exclude Epic Games, we have 1.8 million copies left to account. We'll exclude Stadia as well. We just have Xbox and PlayStation. So what we'll do with those is we'll split them bang on in the middle. I know people have bought the game on Xbox, but we'll split that 1.8 million in half. That's 900,000. And we'll say they've sold equally on Xbox and PlayStation. So we'll take 900,000 copies. Actually, we'll round it up to 1 million. We'll take 1 million copies of their total amount of copies sold. And we'll do the quick calculation at £50 a copy for how much money they have made from this game. So 2.5 million copies at £50 per copy. I'll do the PC price and I'll take 1 million players off, even though across every platform besides Xbox, and bear in mind people on Xbox have still purchased the game, but there are 2.5 million copies I have included. Remember, 1.7 million is Steam alone. So that's basically saying PlayStation, Stadia and Epic Games Store have sold 800,000. It's obviously way more than that, but as I said, this is a rough estimate. But 2.5 million copies times £50 a copy is £125 million. That's how much they have generated from sales for this game. And I don't care if it costs them more to make. They have received that money based on a broken product. This game does not work. It has had several game-breaking issues. It still has some to this day, almost 2 months later. And not only that, everyone has had server issues. Whether people like to admit it or not, the first 4 days of launch, people simply could not connect. The servers were even down for like 2 or 3 hours. There was no chance of anyone getting in. And still to this day, there are multiplayer, matchmaking, crossplay issues, left, right and centre. They've just literally, the day before they've announced this sale, delayed a patch, when they've had over 2 weeks to work on the patch. And not only that, they knew about the game breaking issue before they even acknowledged it and announced it to the public. So they could have potentially known about this since the launch of the game. And then one of their patches made it way more prevalent. Then they decided to start doing something about it. We don't know all the ins and outs, but basically they've had over 2 weeks to work on this and they've had to delay it, which is over the weekend. They don't work weekends, so that's an even longer wait for players. And when I say game breaking, for those of you that don't know, there's a damage mitigation issue. Players can get to the end of an expedition, which is time based. If you wipe at any point, you're back to the start. And a lot of players at the end of the expedition are being one-shotted by the enemies. Sometimes you don't even see the attack coming, you will just wipe. And they've just delayed the patch to fix it because it could have possibly damaged the stability in some way. But now they've gone and promoted this sale, and I just want to let you guys know, if you're interested in buying the game for whatever reason, go to CD Keys. You can get this game on Xbox for £23. You can get it on PC with the Hell's Rangers pack for £26. I don't know anywhere else is cheaper. I don't know anywhere that will sell it on PlayStation cheaper than what the sale price is on all platforms at the moment in the stores. But you can get it very cheap on CD Keys, and if you're wanting to play it that badly, I would strongly recommend paying as low amount as you possibly can because of how badly broken this game actually is. What adds on top of all of this is the fact that Square Enix have just said this is going to be their next major franchise, so we're probably going to see an Outriders 2 at some point. They've already announced that they're looking forward to releasing DLC or an expansion on the game in the future. They just simply haven't paid any attention to the community at all. And this 25% off is a further kick in the teeth. I didn't even pay for the game, and I'm absolutely fucking fuming that they have done this, because I have friends across all platforms, even Stadia, that have paid for this game, and this is how they are being treated. This company has made well over £125 million by selling this broken product. If you times 125 million by 2, that's 250 million. That's £250 million. That's how much money we are talking. It is a shit ton of money that this company has made. And if I'm being completely honest, they don't deserve a penny. The amount of lies and stuff, I'm not going into depth with this. I've covered it several times on the channel. But the amount of stuff they have told us to market this game and build up hype, the amount of content creators and part of the community that are still defending this, it's fucking outrageous. This game is basically a scam. That's how I would put it. Think the culling that are charging players per match. Think all of EA's sports games that make you spend real money to build up your amazing teams year in, year out, and then simply just reset it every year. Think something like Train Simulator that simply just changes the number on its cover art every year and has over £10,000 worth of DLC. Some of the worst microtransactions, some of the most broken games you've ever played in your life. Outriders is definitely up there. I really, really hope at some point they get their shit together, they fix this game properly, and they give people value for the money they have spent. Yes, right now, it's a complete waste of money. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But I'm hoping at some point, even if it does take a year or two, I'm hoping at some point they finally put out a patch that makes the game fun for a big amount of the community so that they can just play and get some value out of the money they spent. Because this company will not open up refunds. No matter how many people beg, no matter how many petitions there are or anything like that, they are not going to give refunds. Because they have just turned this into a franchise. They know that this is going to make money when they're putting out their fake hype, their bullshit lying marketing sort of schemes. They know that people are going to fall for it. And no, it's not possible to boycott at all. I really wish it was. But out of the 3.5 million copies they sold in the first month, so that doesn't, like all of these estimates and stuff don't include the last 3 to 4 weeks. But out of the 3.5 million copies they've sold, even if 3.4 million disappeared, made petitions, stopped playing, boycotted, they've still got 100,000 players. They're still, when DLC gets released, they're still going to make money from it. They've done their work, they've put out their game, and whatever they decide to sell in the future, even if Square Enix go, we're transitioning the game over to live service, gonna have a battle pass and stuff. Whatever they decide to do to this game and whatever they can sell is just going to continue this mess. It's just going to make them more money. There's nothing they're going to do right now that's going to basically give any of that money back. Every penny they've made has gone to the company, and there's no way it's coming back to the community, to the people that have wasted the money on it. At some point in the near future, I don't know how many years that might be, I'm just using that as a light term, but at some point we need some form of buyer protection or standards set in this gaming industry, or this shit is going to continue getting worse. It will never stop. All you've got to do is take a look at like the top 5 companies in the world. Look at CD Projekt Red, one of the biggest companies, if not the biggest in Europe, and look at how they fucked Cyberpunk. It doesn't matter how big or small the company is, how long they take to make the game, most games nowadays are coming out broken as shit. Some of the bugs you'll encounter in games can be funny, some might not break the game, might not block progression, but it's the fact that there are still at least a handful of bugs with most releases. There are literally a couple of games here and there, like It Takes Two, didn't encounter any bugs, had one dashboard throughout like 11.5 hours of gameplay. There's indie games and stuff you play, you won't encounter a bug. But other than that, it doesn't really get any better. You even have DLCs coming out for games that will put a game-breaking, progression-blocking bug in there the day it releases. And if you don't pick up on the reference, the Division 2 Warlords of New York, the expansion, players couldn't progress for an entire 24 hours. And that goes to show how much of this stuff actually gets properly, thoroughly tested. People Can Fly claim that Outriders gets tested by several QA teams across the globe. And they test it so well that there was an issue within one of their patches and it had to be delayed. But what we're going to do is wrap the video up there. It's been a more slow-paced, sort of calm one. Everyone's sleeping right now, so I've got to try and keep it down. I can't scream and shout and rage and everything. So my tone might completely sound off as well. But just know, for the people that have paid, I'm absolutely fucking fuming for you. People Can Fly should have been paying the people that paid to play the game. People Can Fly should have paid those to actually play this game. It can be that bad, and no, I'm not exaggerating that. Yet you'll still get a couple of content creators here and there who say, oh look, there's news, oh there's hope. No, there isn't. It's all just dangling that carrot on a stick. That's all this shit is. But what we're going to do, leave the video there. I will see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And just quickly before we switch over to the outro, message to the haters. I've just gone and bought the game on PC. So why are you playing this game? Because I'm just about to go use a trainer, get all the legendaries I could possibly imagine, help more of the community through the expeditions, and because you still keep coming back watching the videos. Don't forget to leave a like, sub to the channel, turn notifications on. Bye!